Let's talk about kerosene pickles. Let's talk about Old Man Rimshaw. Let's talk about Barney's sidecar. It's always fun to hang out with y'all. A loaded goat is causing a stir from the panic he is creating. Come on in, take a seat. It's 2 chairs, no waiting. Sit a spell and tune right in. We are about to start the show. We have a lot to talk about with the folks that we all know. Opie, Andy, and Otis Barn and the Darlings too. This will be amazing. It's 2 chairs, no waiting.
All right, episode number 864, Mayberry Veterans.
It's 2 chairs, no waiting. It's 2 chairs, no waiting. Let's start the show.
Thank you, boys. Thank you for playing us in here. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody. And thanks, even if I can't get the episode number right, it's 864, not 684. But I'm Allan, Newsome, the host of 2 Chairs, No Waiting. It is awesome to be here with you. And I just want to thank you, and thanks to everybody who supports this podcast. Thank you guys so much. We have this week's executive producer is Joyce Peters. She's episode number 684 is executive producer, and she's one of our patrons and a YouTube member. She does both, or has in the past at least. So I want to thank her so much. She was on the Mayberry cruise with us a couple of weeks ago as well. So thanks to everybody who donates and helps keep this podcast going. And thanks to you for being here with me. I really appreciate it. I'm, again, Allan Newsome, the host of 2 Chairs, No Waiting. And it is always great to be in town with you and being able to talk and visit and just see what's going on in Mayberry. Well, this is Veterans Day week here in the United States. So what better than to go through some Mayberry veterans? I thought that would be a great topic for this week. And as a matter of fact, I asked quite a while back if anybody knew information about some of our veterans. So we were very lucky that our trivia expert, Mr. Paul Mulik, he actually called in with a voicemail. So I want to play that for you to get us started, and then we'll go over some of repeating some of what he said, and then go into some more other details about people who are veterans in Mayberry. So, Paul, take it away.
Hey, Floyd, this is Paul Mulik calling in again from Missouri. A week or so back on the podcast, you were talking about maybe making a list of people from Mayberry who served in the military. I think you mentioned Gomer and Barney and Dud Wash and Al and Bert and the Milo boys. And Andy does say he was in France during the war, but he never does say that he was in the Army. I think we can assume that's what he meant, though. Some other ones you didn't mention, Ed Sawyer, the stranger in town, said when he was in the Army he had a buddy, Joe Larson, that was from Mayberry. And then there was Sam Becker. Remember Andy delivered his baby in the middle of the night? Goober was in the National Guard, so I would say that counts as the military. Sam Jones, in the final episode, talks about being stationed in Italy when he was in the Army, and Ernest T. Bass mentions someone named Jelsic Sturm, that the girls all went nuts when he came home in his uniform. And if you want to talk about the history of Mayberry, we could count Nathan Tibbs. And everybody in town seems to have had an ancestor that fought in the Battle of Mayberry. Those are some I thought of. One other that maybe counts is Malcolm Merriweather, because in his final appearance he does say he's going to stay and be an American, and he served in the Coldstream Guards. Well, I gotta go. So long.
Wow, thank you, Paul. And even though Paul said that on that episode, I had not written down Sam Jones. Sam Jones is being a military member. thank you so much, Paul. I used some of Paul's information, and I went out and tried to gather even more because Paul did a great job giving us kind of a rundown of the veterans in Mayberry, the people, the characters that were on the show that said they were veterans. That's what we wanted to talk about. But while I was going through the research, I decided to do it not only about the actual characters on the Andy Griffith Show, but about our friends, the actors on the Andy Griffith Show, and who among them were veterans. Now, I may very well not been able to get all the details because I searched and fought with all kinds of different web services and everything else to get them to tell me the truth about who had been who had been in the military. It was a lot harder to do than I thought because evidently back at some point, a building burned down that had all of the military records in it from people who were in World War II. So those records are gone. So they don't have real good records about some of those people who served in our military at that point. So it's hard to get them correct. But here's what I found. All right, so we're going to start off with the one, the only, Don Knotts himself. Don Knotts was in the U.S. Army during World War II. Of course, he played Barney. I'm sure of that, right? He was in the Army, and he performed as a ventriloquist at the 6,817th. I guess it's 6817th. I don't know how you say that. Some of the military guys will have to tell me. Special Services Battalion. He was a ventriloquist, is what he did. So that's what he served in the military. Next up, now this one was a cool one for me because I had 2 years ago nearly, I was able to go out to California and got to visit with Kit McNear, Howard McNear, Floyd's dad, Floyd's son. Floyd's son. Kit was, Howard was Kit's dad. And I got to go and visit him. Well, Howard McNear, Floyd Lawson, he served in the U.S. Army Air Corps during World War II. That was the predecessor of the modern U.S. Air Force, but it contributed to the war effort in a significant capacity. So I was able to go and see Kit, and Kit actually had pictures. So if you're watching the video version of that, I've got a picture of Howard when he was in his military uniform back in the day, right there that you can see. And of course, another older picture that he also gave me. I got a couple of pictures from him, so I wanted to show them. If you guys didn't see this, go watch the video and you'll be able to see the pictures. But a picture of Floyd wearing a military uniform, and pretty much you got it. So, of course, we also had George Lindsay. He also appeared in, he was in Gomer Pyle, USMC one time. So I had a picture I was able to find of him, but he was a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. When he was on Gomer Pyle, he dressed up in the green, I'm not in the military, so I don't know what they're called. Fatigues, maybe those are fatigues. I'm not sure, but the green uniform they wore, that's just cloth. Just cloth uniforms, day to day, everyday uniform. I'm sure people in our chat room are probably correcting all my military lack of knowledge, but I can't read the chat room and talk at the same time. But George was a veteran of the U.S. Air Force with service occurring after World War II, reflecting the Cold War era of the military's engagements. That's when he was in the military. So we salute all of these people as we do it. Now, there was some conflict. This is one of the things I said. I was arguing with things online. Howard McNear, I had to argue about it because they weren't sure he had been in the military. Well, his actual headstone on his gravesite tells that he was in the Air Force, Air Corps, the Army Air Corps during World War II. It says that, and he was private first class. It tells all that information. Another one that I had trouble with was Jack Dodson, who played Howard Sprague. But I have pictures that were sent to me years ago. There's a whole episode of the podcast. If you go and search for it, you'll find it, where I talked about Jack Dodson, again, played Howard Sprague. He served in the U.S. Army in the post-World War II period. Most likely it was during the early 50s, which would have been the Korean War time period. So he served during that period. And I actually have images of him when he was in military. So those are pretty. I actually provided those to his family because they asked about it once they saw the podcast a while back, and so I sent it to them. Now, other thing I found out, I did not know. You may know this. Jack Dodson is all I've ever heard him called. His real name is John Smeaton, Semeaton, Smeaton, John Smeaton Dodson. So Jack is what he went by. So anyway, I just didn't know that. Thought a little more trivia for you. Let's see. Next up, now this is, he wasn't in the American military, but he was still in the military, so we're going to count him. This is Bernard Fox. Bernard Fox himself, Malcolm Merriweather, Dr. Bombay on Bewitched. He played, like I said, Malcolm Merriweather, which was a recurring character. He enlisted in the Royal Navy during World War II. He spent the last 2 years of the war working as a minesweeper. He contributing to the war effort before transitioning to acting in Britain and then later in the United States as well. So, Paul did mention him and mention the fact that he had served in other capacities. Now, this one is also one I'm unsure of. So there's a historically mixed information about Denver Pyle. Denver Pyle, who played Briscoe Darling, he served, at least according to some records, as a World War II veteran, with his service having various sources that said he was a World War II veteran. Some reputable sources say that he was in the U.S. Navy in World War II and was wounded at Guadalcanal, while others say that he served in the U.S. Merchant Marines. That's what he served as. And there's no record to show of his Navy active duty. There's no file for that. Official record searches have found no conclusive evidence of his Navy service. So it's safest statement would be to say his service record is uncertain and contradicted by different public service sources. I did confirm, though, that even if he was in the U.S. Merchant Marine, if that's what he had served as, they supported the military to such a degree that they were considered and were eligible for veteran benefits from that time period. So let's salute him for his service and assume he did do it. We will continue to look into it and find out for certain and do our best we can to determine whether he had. Again, I mentioned that records were burned. It was a fire they had at the location where they kept it. I guess they didn't keep those records where they keep the retirement records in some cave in Pennsylvania down way in the ground. The building burned, and of course, the papers were paper, and so they burned, and there was only a copy. So there were no other copies. So it kind of makes it hard to come up with some of the information. Now, and not to be left out, we had other actors. That was all the actors I could find that actually served in the military, but we thank all of them for their service and are so happy for that. But Frances Bavier, Aunt B, she didn't serve in the military. However, during World War II, she traveled with the USO to entertain U.S. troops in the Pacific. Multiple sources confirm that. The involvement was not military service, but a civilian contribution to the war effort, supporting our troops through performances. There are no records or indications that she was ever enlisted or served in any branch of the military, but she did serve our military by going and supporting them as part of the USO. And not only did she do that, but a very young lady named Betty Lynn also did this. She served in the military as well. However, during World War II, she was not even 18, I think. She had just barely started to turn 18. And she participated in the USO, which is the United Surface Organization. She did a USO tour in China, Burma, India theater, where she entertained and visited wounded servicemen in hospitals and she sang. She had a repertoire reportedly of 725 songs. Her biography, if you read her book, she talks about this time frame when she was doing USO, and she has things on display at the Andy Griffith Museum in Mount Airy, North Carolina, from her USO days, including her uniform and the pistol that she was provided as part of her service. So thank you to Betty as well. All right, so now let's head back to Mayberry and to the characters that live there. The characters, Andy Taylor. Andy Taylor is depicted as a World War II veteran. As Paul mentioned, he mentioned that he was over in France during the war in the episode Feud is a Feud. That was from season 1, episode 9. That's the single reference we have to suggest his wartime experience that he contributed there as well. But it's Andy mentions that he served in France during World War II. You know, he couldn't speak. You know, he go on, do, and they couldn't speak French. You remember that? But that he did mention that Andy Taylor supposedly served over in the war. Now, the Andy Griffith Show continuity is often a slight issue, but because in other episodes, like Andy suggested, or it said Andy graduated from Mayberry High School in 1945. Well, that would conflict with him being over in World War II service from 39 to 45, since he didn't graduate until 45. But again, the show is often inconsistent, and it treats that as a minor continuity error. We would have to say that Andy is a veteran of the armed services and did serve over there. Andy Taylor did. Of course, we know that Gomer Pyle, he served well, he didn't serve over there, but he was part of the U.S. Marine Corps. We know that. He joined the U.S. Marines and went into a spin-off series, Gomer Pyle USMC, from 1964 to 1969, which was obviously a direct continuation of his character from the Andy Griffith Show. In the episode Opie Joins the Marine, which is from Gomer Pyle USMC, Gomer is already a Marine, and Opie briefly considers enlisting himself. While Gomer's military service is central to the spinoff, his time on the Andy Griffith Show from season 3 and 4 doesn't explicitly ever show him as a veteran. But, you know, okay, we're giving him that until he enlists during the spinoff, obviously. But we saw him on the Andy Griffith Show go and join the military service. So we know Gomer was a member of the military. So salute to him. Now, there are other characters that we just only heard about. One of them, his name was Joe Larson. And again, Paul mentioned him. He was mentioned, but we never saw him. His in the episode A Stranger in Town, that's from season 1, episode 12, Joe Larson is referenced as having served in the Army with his buddy Ed Sawyer, the stranger in town. He was a newcomer to Mayberry, remember that? And Joe shared stories from the town's newspaper because he got the newspaper, the Mayberry Gazette, and Joe told Ed stories about Mayberry during their time of service together, indicating that Joe Larson from Mayberry obviously is a veteran, has a military background there. So as a mentioned character, he doesn't really ever appear on the show, but I do feel like, hey, we were told he's an Army veteran. So we're going to say he was. And of course, by extension, Ed Sawyer, the stranger in town from that episode, he was also a veteran because he served with Joe. So another one that we were told about was, and kind of where we heard about Barney, was Sam Becker. Sam Becker, Quiet Sam, that episode where his wife was having the baby, he tells Barney that he fought in Korea. That's what he said. So then we hear from Barney in that episode, Quiet Sam, where he mentions doing his part to, quote, whip the dreaded Hun. So the term Hun is a derogatory term for the Germans. It was commonly used in World War I, but it's still recognized in context in World War II, which aligns with Barney's likely age because Don Knotts was born in 1924, making Barney roughly in his 30s during the show during the 1960s, which would be consistent with him having served during the World War II era. And that line implies that Barney participated in some capacity in New York City, as best I can tell, as a military veteran as well. So Barney was a military veteran. And finally, I think we're finally. No, we've got a few more here. I don't have pictures of all these things I'm telling you guys about. So if you're not watching, you're not missing a lot. You're just hearing me talk about the different characters that I do have. But the next one is Dud Wash. Dud Wash, Charlene's husband, eventually. Obviously, he was honorably discharged U.S. Army veteran with the rank of Private First Class, Dud Wash. And we hear about that in the episode Mountain Wedding from season 3 as episode number 31. His military experience is basically stating he'll show Ernest T. Bass something. He does that as well in another episode. I'll show some things I learned in the Army in guerrilla warfare, indicating combat training. So we know he was a military veteran. Paul mentioned Al, Bert, and the Milo boys, and Andy kind of mentions them when he's talking to Barney about his sidecar. It needs to be in a museum, and it's not for them, it's not for you, it's for them. Another one that is mentioned that we never see is mentioned by Ernest T. Bass. Actually, his name is Jelsic Stern. Jelsic Stern is mentioned in the episode Ernest T. Bass Joins the Army. That's from season 4, episode 3. Ernest T. says, you ought to see them flit around old Jelsic Stern when he come back home with his uniform. Jelsic, walk with me. Jelsic, dance with me. Jelsic, kiss my mouth. That's what Ernest T. said. And that implies that Jelsic came home from the Army because Ernest T. was trying to get into the Army to get a uniform so he could get girls. Remember? And so I guess as an honorable mention, Ernest T. didn't serve in the military, but he tried. They wouldn't have him. So we'll give him a honorable mention of trying. And of course, Paul mentioned Sam Jones, that he had been a military veteran as well. He mentioned that on an episode there toward the end with the family that came over from Italy. You remember that? That's a color episode, obviously, that he had served with them over there. And finally, as Paul mentioned, we're going back a ways on this one, but Nathan Tibbs from the episode A Plaque for Mayberry, season 1, episode 25, when Otis had a relative that was a Revolutionary War hero that set fire to Mayberry Bridge to protect the town of Mayberry. It was said that he ran 8 miles through the snow to set the Mayberry Bridge on fire, and this act turned back the enemy and allowed George Washington and his troops to capture an entire regiment. So Nathan Tibbs, Revolutionary War veteran. So thank him as well. Paul mentioned finally that the Battle of Mayberry, it's a episode in season 6, episode number 29. Many of the townspeople in Mayberry believed that they had an ancestor who fought in the Battle of Mayberry. Some examples are Colonel Carlton Taylor from the Taylor home, Andy's and Aunt Bee's relative. Colonel Caleb Stonewall Lawson, which was Floyd's relative. They're all colonels, you notice. Colonel Stonewall Lawson. And then this one I thought was interesting. Goober's relative was actually named Colonel Goober Pyle. He was named after him. And then Clara's was just Colonel Edwards. Later on, we found out he was Lieutenant Edwards, is who we found out if you watched the episode. And of course, Opie, in trying to determine the truth of the Battle of Mayberry, went to speak to the lone Indian, Strongbow, that lived there in Mayberry. Evidently, went to speak to him, and basically he had a relative in that battle as well, Chief Strongbow. And instead of calling it the Battle of Mayberry, they called it the Victory of Tuckahoosie Creek. So they thought they won. So it was a great episode, by the way. So they all get at least honorable mention for having not actually been in a battle, and maybe not even been colonels, I don't think. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mayberry's veterans, and we salute all of them, because whether they served in real life, which we definitely do appreciate their service, or if the characters were shown to have been part of the military, the cast and crew and writers of the Andy Griffith Show, they held them in high regard. So that is a salute to our military veterans here on Veterans Day, and it's 2025 currently. So thank you all for all of your hard-earned work there. We do appreciate anybody that has served and done that. I worked for 35 years in support of the military in the Department of Defense, and I appreciate all of what those men and women do in supporting and taking care of our country. So thank you very much for them. So thinking about the boys that serve, I realize there's ladies as well, but Paul Mulik had sent in a bit of trivia for us this week. So get out your pencils and piece of paper, and we'll play some trivia about the Fun Girls. I'm sure the military guys would like that. Probably not just the military girls. All right, so we're going to play 6 questions. Okay, we'll play 6, and we got 6 more for next week. A perfect score will be 6 points. All right. These are pretty hard, but are you ready for the trivia? Here we go. We've got folks in our chat rooms. I'm going to start watching them to see if they can get these questions right. And here is question number 1. Of the Fun Girls, 2 Fun Girls, what is Skippy's phone number? Woo! I don't know that I'd have gotten this, but I know how to remember it now after I see the answer. What was Skippy's phone number? Paul, that one's pretty hard. All right. Here comes the answer. Oh, my goodness. People in the chat room, Nautimus Rex got it right. Right off the bat, he got it. So I'm not sure who that is, but good job, Nautimus Rex, in our main chat room. The answer, Skippy's phone number is 327 in Mount Pilot. So she's in Mount Pilot, but it's 327. Wow. Great job. 327. So the way to remember that is if you remember the squad car's number is JL327, those are the last digits of the number. Or you could just remember 327 because, like Barney would have said, well, you got a 3. And what badge number was Floyd? 3. Well, what's the next number? It's 1 away from it. And so just subtract 1 from 3 and you get 2. So now you've got 2. So you got 3 and 2. and then 7, you'd have to come up with 7's the lucky number. So you got lucky 7. So that's how you remember it. Wouldn't it just be easier to remember 327? Well, you're going to do it the easy way. All right, question number 2. Where does Andy meet the Fun Girls for the first time? Where does Andy meet the Fun Girls for the first time? What's the name of the place? Oh, that's tough. I think you find out where they actually met. When do you find that out? Do you find that during the episode? Folks in the chat room are getting it. I saw Jeff Thu got it over on YouTube, and Plain Don Good was the first one I saw that got it in our main chat room. But let's give everybody credit that's getting it, because several people are getting it now in the main chat room. The answer is, where did they meet for the first time? The Tip Top Club. Meet at the Tip Top Club. Hello, doll. All right. Number 3. What are the first words we ever hear Daphne say? What are the first words that we ever hear Daphne say? Oh, don't be misled by me. What are the first words we ever hear Daphne say? So there's 2 fun girls. You got to know which ones they are. So I will tell you a hint. It's not hello, doll. That's not the first words we hear her say. Maybe the first words Andy heard, but it's not the first we hear her say. Okay. The first words we hear Daphne say is, let's go to the Gigolo Club over in Yancey. They've got a floor show there. Those are the first words that we actually hear her say. And that's Daphne. Cody got it. So Cody, South Carolina, Cody got it right. Paul Mulik is in our chat room grading papers. Good job, Paul. You guys can join us on our chat rooms. If you head over to live.2chairsnowaiting on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, you can be a part of the podcast and join in with all the fun they're having. Question number 4. What is the name of Daphne's former suitor who gives Andy a black eye? What is the name of Daphne's former suitor who gives Andy a black eye? Our chat room is definitely getting this one. I see Vicky got it in the YouTube chat room. I can't see let's see the Facebook. Let's see if I can see them over there. Let's see. First one to get it. Anonymous Rex got it. Oh, Tip Top Cafe. I said Tip Top Club, didn't I? Yeah, Tip Top Cafe. I said club. Thank you very much for the correction. Okay. What was the name of Daphne's former suitor that gave him a black eye? Is Al. It's Al. You better phone him, Al. It's a different Al, but it's Al. Okay. All right. What are we on? Number 5. Number 5 is when Andy and Barney get stuck having to drive the fun girls back to Mount Pilot. Where does Daphne suggest they go to get a beer? When Andy and Barney get stuck having to drive the fun girls back to Mount Pilot, where does Daphne suggest they go to get a beer? So, Barney, you want to drive those girls back home? You're not coming. What am I going to do? Just so, all right. So, where did she suggest they go? Where does she suggest they go to get a beer? All right. I see. Oh, good try, but no. That was a good try in the chat rooms here. No, I'm not seeing the right answer coming in. So, guys, the answer, because I don't see an answer. Our chat rooms don't seem to be getting it right. The answer is the Kit Kat Club. The Kit Kat Club. Okay. And like I said, the earlier episode was Tip Top Cafe, not Club. Tip Top Cafe. The Kit Kat Club is where they went. All right. There you go. That was good. Good try. Good try. All right. Here we go. Our last question about the Fun Girls. You guys can study up because next week we'll be doing 6 more questions about the Fun Girls. So study. You just watch a few episodes. You can study them, okay, and be right. But here you go. Here's our final question for this week. Who is the first person ever to call Skippy and Daphne Fun Girls? Who's the first person to call Skippy and Daphne Fun Girls? Who is it? That's a great question. Wow. South Carolina Cody. Howard Sprague looks like he got it first, I think, in the main chat room. And Jeff Fu got in on the YouTube channel. I'm not seeing anybody jumping in yet over on Facebook. There's delays on these, so it's kind of rough for these folks. All right, guys, the answer, the first person to ever call Skippy and Daphne Fun Girls was Thelma Lou. It was Thelma Lou. Thelma Lou did it. How did you do, guys? How did you do? Did you get them all? So you got 6 questions. How did you do getting them right? So we'll do 6 more next week about the Fun Girls. So thank you again to Paul Mulik for coming up with these really fun trivia things. It's these a lot of times where you're like, I should have known that after it's over. They're a lot easier after you know the answer. I have to admit that. I'm not good at the trivia. All right. So I hope you did pretty well. I hope you enjoyed it. Mainly, that's the main thing, right? You got to enjoy yourself. Hey, I want to tell you guys, we've got some fun stuff coming up this week. If you're going to be in the Marion, Kentucky area, I'm going to be at the Old Kentucky Hayride Saturday, starting at 7 o'clock. That's in Marion, Kentucky. I'd love to see you there. Come out and see Floyd. You'll be able to see Cutter and Cash and the Kentucky Grass, along with a bunch of other bluegrass pickers and country music people. So come out and see everybody. The money's all being raised for the county food bank there. So just definitely come on. That's a benefit show. Come out and see us, and Floyd will be there. You can get a haircut and get a picture. I'd love to see you. You can come out. Cutter and Cash were on the Mayberry cruise with me, and Cash, he was actually my assistant during the cruise. So we had a lot of fun during that. So they've been on the Grand Ole Opry. They've been on all kinds of stuff. You got an opportunity to come out and see them this weekend. And while you're doing stuff like that, head over to Weaver's department store, because Weaver's has got all kinds of great Mayberry stuff for you that you might enjoy. And it is Christmas time coming up, guys. So head over there and check it out. They got the 2026 Mayberry calendar. It's got a different picture for every month of the year. And the months are organized better than they were this past year in the 2025 calendar. For some reason, that one started the week on Monday and had the weekend all on the right side. We didn't like that. So Weaver's fixed it. So it starts on Sunday and ends on Saturday like a normal calendar. And it's got all kinds of information in it as well. So head over to Weaver's and check it out. Get one before they're gone. Since it is Christmas, we got a Mayberry Christmas wooden sign. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. It says Mayberry, North Carolina. Go over and check that out at Weaver's. And you might want to get you some coasters to set your drinks on during the Christmas season so they don't mess up your tables. I got coaster sets, and you got individual coasters as well. So go over to Weaver's and check it out. WeaversDepartmentStore.com. Folks, I want to thank you guys for being here with me and just being part of the podcast. We have so much fun visiting here, and at least I do. And I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank all of our folks that were over in our chat room, because they're visiting and talking with one another and having a good time. Just visiting. You can be a part of that as well. Just come on over on Monday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and you can be a part of the podcast and join in and visit with all these wonderful folks. We're also in the process right now and about to wrap it up actually this evening. The Mayberry Man, the series, we did a season 1. You might know that. We've been raising money for season 2 of Mayberry Man, and guys, we have made it. We finally made it. We've raised enough money, but we've got a small push going on Monday night as I record this. So immediately following the show tonight, if you had been here, you're going to be able to head over and watch the live version of the telethon as we close down the Indiegogo campaign that's going on. So we are so thankful. We raised $185,250 at the time I'm recording this. So thank you to all of you who've supported the podcast in the past and supported me and the things I do, and have supported Mayberry Man, the movie and the series. And now we're going to have a season 2 with 5 more episodes. So you'll have 10 episodes of a series that's just clean Mayberry-like comedy. Hopefully you enjoy it, and thank you for allowing me to do it and coming into your home and your ears and being part of this podcast. So, folks, I would love to hear from you. You can give me a call at 256-513-9526. You can give me a call. That is a great way for me to be able to hear from you, just like Paul did this week, where he called in or he did it a while back, but he called in and was able to give me the information about the stuff that I didn't remember about all these veterans. So thank you to Paul, and thank you to all of you who have just been a part of this podcast over the years. Thank you for your support. I really do appreciate all of our patrons and YouTube members. Thank you all for being here. Head over to Weavers and support the podcast by buying stuff over at Weavers, and give gifts to people. Tell friends that you want stuff from Weavers for Christmas. That's what you need to do so they can get it to you. Folks, have a great Mayberry week, and we'll see you next time right back here on Two Chairs. Good night, everybody.